Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Erick Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2010 horror mystery titled Devil. Now, Devil runs for an hour and 20 minutes long. It is directed by Erick Dowdle. It is produced by M. Night Shyamalan and Sam Mercer. The script was done by Brian Nelson. It's based on the Night Chronicles stories by M. Night Shyamalan. The score was done by Fernando Velazquez, the cinematography by Tak Fujimoto, and the editing was done by Elliot Greenberg. And the stars of the movie are Chris Messina, Logan Marshall Green, Geoffrey Arend, Bojana Novakovic, Jenny O'Hara, Bokeem Woodbine, and Jacob Vargas. Now, the year 2010 has not been a great year for M. Night Shyamalan. It all started when his over-profited film, The Last Airbender, was met with complete negative feedback, and kind of like his reputation kind of like dwindled in the past few years. People have been very hard on him. After the success of Signs, everybody wanted to see him continue that road, but as years keep going by, his bravado is dwindling, his fan base has been decreasing, and everybody seems to be shit-facing on him, which is unfair. Everybody deserves a chance to at least see something, whether it's good or bad. But it seems like everybody's been really hard on him. So one could only hope that the lesser budgeted film Devil can hope revitalize his decaying reputation. The first of his Night Chronicles franchise was was originally was going to be feared that the harsh critics could easily dismiss it. If they see his name on there, they'll say, fuck it, I'm not watching anything with M. Night Shyamalan. So, in a clever act of manipulation, Universal Pictures cleverly released it in theaters before they had a chance to chomp at it right away, before the critics chomped at it right away. Seeing that M. Night Shyamalan's name splash on the screen and they're like, would walk away. They decided to just go with bringing it into the theaters before sending it into like studios. It doesn't happen like this every day, but the movie Devil was an exception. So what was the story all about? The story is actually loosely based on Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Okay, so the story focuses on five strangers trapped in an office elevator in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As the lift is at midway point, tensions burst in the air, and the five civilians located in the elevator develop a lot of mistrust in one another. One of the guys in there is a sleazy mattress salesperson who practically is kind of like an annoying individual, and he likes to play his music loud and sort of get into it, which of course completely pisses off everyone. We also have a pickpocketer. We have an incompetent rookie security guard who's just a temp, who also has had a reputation of being prone to violence. We also have a gold-digging bitch, and we also have a guy who murdered and killed somebody. I don't know whether it was a car crash or if it was a hit and run. I don't remember. But the five civilians that are in the elevator have all had that one similar trend. They all committed a sin. And every time... So these five people are stuck in an elevator. I mean, how claustrophobic can that be? How low-key can the principal setting of a movie take place in an elevator lift. 5 people stuck in an elevator. This is definitely really a low-key version of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. At least these guys were like on a deserted island in a mansion, so there was plenty of moving space to go around. But this movie took place in an elevator. And that does not happen very often. I mean, it really goes to show you just how low-key this is. But here's where it gets even interesting. Every time the lights go out, there is fear. And it's just much like Agatha Christie. Every time the light goes out, something terrible happens. And just like Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, someone, one by one, dies. And they all have different ways of death. Now, for an 80-minute movie, the body count is actually quite overwhelming. Because it seems like this particular elevator lift, people have lost their lives due to the similar format that these 5 characters had faced. Many other people who have came on this elevator never came out alive. So, one of the security guards who work at the at this building in Philadelphia has this belief that this is not just a bad twist of fate. There's something much more darker, much more sinister that's brewing on this elevator lift. Something very, very evil. And this overly religious security guard believes that these deaths is practically the work of the devil. But the question is, who's the devil on this elevator? What does he or she look like? You never know. It could be a male. It could be a female. It could be one of these 5 passengers on this elevator lift. I mean, here we look like they're going on an elevator to whatever respected floor they're going on. But now they're stuck. There's no power failures or anything. Now, the reason why this security guard, I don't remember his name, but I do know he's played by Jacob Vargas. His mother, or was it his grandmother, he told him the story that that all satanic stories, or stories that evolve around Satan, often involve a suicide, or what begins a story starts with a suicide. You know what? That's kind of like a very similar twist of irony. Did you know that if you ever seen the 1968 movie Rosemary's Baby, the story also starts off with a suicide, as that, well, I forget her name, as Terry Gianafrio. She plunges to her death. I mean, every story that starts with the devil begins with a suicide. So you see the opening scenes where we see a man falling off a roof and landing, splat onto a truck. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be using onomatopoeias to describe what transpired. And so then what starts off as a suicide from some poor individual. Then you get the 5 people on the elevator wanting to go to whatever respective floor they want to go to in the building. but are stuck there. It's claustrophobic. Everybody's feels like they got termites termites in their pants. Everyone doesn't seem to trust one another. Everybody is like they all want to get off, but they're stuck there. Technicians are trying to fix the problem. The security guards are looking for surveillance to see what it is that's causing this elevator to shut down every so often. Why is it that the lights come off? Why is it that whenever the lights come off, someone dies? This is this is all crazy. So this is where Chris Messina's character comes in. He is, a recovered alcoholic, but he's also gone through some heartbreak himself. Not too long ago, his wife and his son were killed. So he's going through many stages, sobriety, and grief, which does not really come together. So he's trying to, join forces with the security guards to ascertain as to what the hell is going on, who's doing it. Of course, being that he's kind of a bit of an atheist, he doesn't believe everything the security guard is saying. But, this is a pretty exciting mystery if you really want to know. And, it's pretty fun to watch because you get to sort of ask yourself, who is the devil? Who is it? Is it the security guard? Is it the young lady? Is it the annoying is it the annoying guy who likes to play his music out loud? Is it the old lady? Or is it the young man? Who is it? Who's the devil? And will any of these guys get out of it alive? The question is, the only thing I could say is, only time will tell. So on the outside, through the CCTV cameras, Detective Bowden, played by Chris Messina, is a reformed alcoholic who comes to the conclusion that that evil is lurking, that the devil is and that the devil is doing all these things. Or it could be just someone who's possessed by Satan. And the ruler of all evil invited these civilians with no clear explanation. But that's not entirely true. What seems to be ironic is that all 5 of these passengers stuck on the elevator had committed sins. One just killed an innocent woman and a boy. One has been one has been um one has been arrested not too long ago on charges of assault. One is a purse snatcher or a thief. Another person's a gold digger, and another one is a scam artist. So these 5 people that are stuck on the elevator, we may sympathize with them for being claustrophobic. We may sympathize with them for their fears and their paranoia. But we can't really be too sympathetic with them because of the fact that they have all committed misdemeanors. So, do you think they deserved what they got? Part of me says yes, and then part of me says no. But one thing for sure, the devil does not take much salvation for the sins that one hath committed. Due to the bad press given to Shyamalan for participating in this low budget spectacular, it's the guys behind the lenses, John Erick Dowdle, whom, along with his brother Drew, who were behind the equally appalling movie Quarantine, gets the credit, as they succeeded in using the most frugal resources by pitting five people in a generic setting like an airplane, with 75 minutes saturated with heavy tension and paranoia amongst the victims stuck in one place. The film looks like it has the feel of a Twilight Zone episode. It's got that Twilight Zone integrity in them, and it's thanks mainly to the script by Brian Nelson. John Erick Dowdle had succeeded in doing everything everyone a favor by not making the devil a scary thing. I don't want to reveal spoilers as to who the devil is, but at least there's one thing for sure. If you're expecting to see some cartoony guy dressed in this cliche red suit, horns on his head, black beard, carries a pitchfork, has a arrow-shaped tail, someone who laughs maniacally going, no, you're not going to see that. Well, that's one thing I will tell you. The devil may be just somebody possessed by the devil. Maybe the devil's soul is within one of the five people on the elevator. Who it is, I'm not going to say. You'll have to see to believe. Even though Shyamalan isn't directing or giving penmanship for this movie, he does succeed in leaving his handprints all over it. It comes assembled with reactionary screenplays, with performers coming to grips progressively with the situation they are facing, and they have to absorb the nightmares that bestows upon them. The story divides between victims in a precarious situation and a befuddled detective trying to ascertain or try to go against the fact that there is no religious thing, and that some kind of logical explanation is to why this elevator keeps shutting down, and who are these, and there must be some explanation as to why every time the light comes out someone dies. There's that there must be somebody, there must be something other than this security guard who thinks that it's something of a religious phenomenon taking place or something satanic. And though Dowdle can't cram too much in a 75-minute parameter, and using low-key effects to create a dire environment and enough to keep the horror film in all its PG-13 glory, I'm glad the movie is doing everything to draw our own conclusions toward the unholy evil coming at us. But the scenes spell green screen everywhere. The off-camera yelps are heard in an omnipresent fashion. I'm not saying this is a great movie per se, and in fact, I think, for a 75-minute movie, which doesn't, of course, include the end credits are about 5 minutes long. Even though I said this movie is 80 minutes long, the movie duration is 75 minutes long with 5 minutes of end credits. Anyhow, yeah, I did feel that it was cheap, so that's one of the biggest flaws. I would have loved to have seen maybe Instead of, I know that an elevator doesn't really hold a lot of people, and I know you can't necessarily cram 10 people in an elevator. I think that for this movie to work, maybe they should have put more people on the elevator instead of just 5. I would have probably liked to have seen maybe 7 or 8. I think you could put 7 or 8 people in an elevator. I don't think an elevator just only holds 5 people at most. If you could put 7 or 8 people in an elevator, that would have been more effective. But I guess, give it for what it is. It keeps the mystery thing flow going, and I guess I gotta give praise for that. The score by Fernando Velasquez is quite electrifying, as each sound was created the fear factor through every scene. Performance wise, Chris Messina is also very impressive in his performance as a man of little faith, challenging the supernatural entities that's coming to him and to reconsider his faith in religion. Um, this is also another thing that I also found the weakness is because this movie is only 75 minutes long, there wasn't really enough room for character development. There is no explanation as to why the gold digger wants to divorce her husband. There is really no depth to why the temporary security guard who's stuck on the elevator. There's no backstory about his charges of manslaughter. I wish I would have known more stories about the young man who killed a man and a woman in an accident. I don't remember whether it was a drunk driving accident or a hit and run. Anyhow, and there's no explanation as to because there really is a lack of character development. I know you can't really cram too much in a 75-minute movie, but if the movie was a little bit longer and we had a little more in depth with the characters, maybe this movie could have been all the more better. Now, putting my I'm not putting my handprints on M Night Shyamalan because it's not entirely his fault. It's because of I guess the resources were limited. The budget was low as it was. I mean, there's no big A-list performers in there. So it's basically another one of those what you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, that's your business. So it shouldn't come as a shocker that an unpredictable twist will be coming out our way, which is typical M Night Shyamalan, always trying to find some kind of a twist at the end that will have you scratching your head. And though Hollywood wants to restrain the integrity that Shyamalan provides, it is the sole purpose as to why Devil can be a claustrophobic drag programmed to see the twist coming a mile away. So, in other words, Shyamalan, he puts in an effort, to try to make the story compelling. Many people say this is kind of a bit of a rehash of Agatha Christie's more successful play slash story of And Then There Were None. Well, except for instead of taking place in a mansion, it's taking place in an elevator shaft. And, the claustrophobia in there is enough to make you just want to open a window and breathe in fresh air, and you couldn't really give a fuck if it was cold outside. Because sometimes after watching this movie, I had to sort of sit outside so I can get some fresh air. Because the whole idea of being stuck in an elevator not wondering if you're going to actually live through it or not. You have to wonder, will anybody escape? Will anybody survive? That's up to the audience to see, to believe. That's up to the audience to see, to get all the answers, because I'm not really going to give too many spoilers out. Maybe I already gave some spoilers, assuming that people may have seen this movie. If I was to give a score, I would give this movie, Devil, a 6 out of 10. It's by far a cinematic masterpiece. It's too low budget. I don't think it's a Razzie potential. The acting was not the greatest, although, like I said, the real standout was Chris Messina. He was probably the only one who had a good backstory. Everybody else was pretty much underdeveloped. It was too short. 75 minutes long is too short. They should have made it maybe an hour and 35 minutes. That probably would have been much better. But for what it is, like I said, I think a 6 out of 10 is fair. It's a good comeback for M. Night Shyamalan, but he still has a lot to go to reach everyone else's approval, and it's going to take a lot more to regain the faith and trust of his audience. So, good effort, M. Night Shyamalan. Let's hope that your other Night Chronicles adaptations improve. Just keep faith in him. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, and don't be rude. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Erick Writer saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.